Hello everyone. In this video, we'll understand added and generated value in Spring Boot JPA in a very simple way. If you are a beginner or preparing for Java backend interviews, this concept is extremely important because every real project uses this. So let's start from the basics and slowly move to real project usage and interview questions. First question, why do we even need added? Every database table must have unique identification. Without ID, duplicate records can be inserted. Update or delete operations become impossible. Data integrity breaks. Imagine a user table. Many users can have the same name. Many users can belong to the same city. But ID must be unique. That's why we say, no ID equals no proper database design. Now let's understand primary key. A primary key uniquely identifies each row. Cannot be null. Cannot be duplicate. Example. Name right pointing arrow can repeat. ID right pointing arrow can never repeat. So in JPA, we must tell Spring Boot, this field is my primary key. This is where added annotation comes in. Added marks a field as primary key. It is mandatory for every JPA entity, used to uniquely identify records. When we write added private long id, we are telling JPA, use this field to identify each record uniquely. But now comes an important question. Who will generate this ID? If we don't use a generated value, we must set ID manually. That leads to problems like duplicate ID risk, human mistakes, not scalable, not production safe. Manually assigning IDs is bad practice. So what's the solution? Add generated value. Add generated value tells JPA, please generate the ID automatically. When we write add generated value, strategy equals GenerationType.IDENTITY, Spring Boot does not expect ID from developer. Let's database generate it, maps it back to the entity. This gives us clean code, safe design, industry standard approach. That's why you see this annotation in almost every project. Now let's quickly understand ID generation strategies. There are multiple strategies. Identity right pointing arrow best for MySQL. Auto right pointing arrow JPA besides. Sequence right pointing arrow Oracle, PostgreSQL. Table right pointing arrow rarely used. For beginners and MySQL users, always start with identity. In real projects like task, user, order, we use it like this. ID is generated automatically. No manual logic. Cleaner repository code. This is how real backend applications work in production. In real projects like task, user, order, we use it like this. ID is generated automatically. No manual logic. Cleaner repository code. This is how real backend applications work in production. Before ending, let's cover common mistakes. Forgetting add generated value. Setting ID manually. Using wrong strategy. Expecting JPA to work without added. Now interview questions. Q. Why not set ID manually? Right pointing arrow risk of duplicates. Q. Best strategy for MySQL? Right pointing arrow identity. Q. Can ID be string? Right pointing arrow yes, UID. Q. Is added mandatory? Right pointing arrow absolutely yes. That's all for added and generated value. If this video helped you, thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment which Spring Boot annotation you want next. See you in the next video.